The story of George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was born on approximately 1860 in Diamond Grove, Missouri. There were people called night riders. They stole slaves and sold them at slave markets. When George was a baby, him and his mother were stolen from night riders. After that, George and his mother's slave owner, Mr. Carver, hired somebody to get back George and his mother. I'll give you 40 acres of my best land and my best racing horse if you get back my slaves.
Okay.
When he didn't return with the mother, but he returned with the child, and that child was George Washington Carver. George was often sick, so he often stayed inside. After that, he called them Aunt Susan and Uncle Moses. In 1867, he was nicknamed the Plant Doctor. He had a secret garden in the woods, and he took care of one of his neighbor's plants. He also enjoyed crocheting, whittling, studying plants, going to church, and doing art. Then George decided that he wanted to go to Neosho so he could get a better education. So George went to Neosho. When George got there, he found an empty horse stall and decided that it would be a good place to stay for the night. The next day, a nice woman found George sleeping in her stall, and she offered him something to eat. Ever since then, he called her Aunt Mariah and her husband Uncle Andy. That is the beginning of the story of the man who came up with over 118 uses for the sweet potato and over 300 uses for the peanut. Later, he moved to another city and started housekeeping. Then he became a laundry operator, and then he became a professor at Iowa State College. Then he got a job at Tuskegee Institute. After that, he joined the Royal Society of Arts, and he was honored by President Franklin D. Roosevelt for contributing in Southern agriculture. Soon after that, the George Washington Carver Museum was opened. Then George Washington Carver died on January 5, 1943 in Tuskegee, Alabama. George Washington Carver's grave says George Washington Carver died in Tuskegee, Alabama, January 5, 1943, a life that stood out as the gospel of self-forgetting service. He could have added fortune to fame, but caring for neither, he found happiness and honor of being helpful to the world. The center of his world was South, where he was born in slavery somewhere 79 years ago, and where he did his work as a creative scientist. After he died, he got his face on the American postage stamp. And that is the story of George Washington Carver.